live, episode 19. We got my guy here, Joe Bro. I don't even know his last name. This is my intro though, but I call him Joe Bro. He's a fitness trainer, bodybuilder, entrepreneur here in Houston, Texas. It was actually a great transition to bring him here with what's going on in his life right now and a lot of the moves that he's shaking and rocking. So I told him a little bit how we get things going around here. We got a W segment for all the dubs. We got Dwight Man Freddy here on the Skeletor here, so after Dwight. And we don't have any unofficial sponsors other than Khango Supps versus the world. Don't know what you got over there. Anyways, and then we like to take a little shot of tequila and keep bringing the tequila. I think the last one was the Terramana. We are all out of the Terramana. So we're back on the Jordan brand here. And we've got a little mic difficulties because these stands suck. So I don't want to know if I'm blaming the producer over here or blaming Priscilla or blaming myself here. So I'm going to put this mic down real quick. We're going to take this shot and then we're going to get the Daily Dose, Tell You the Truth with Joe Bro. Go rocking and rolling. God damn it, Aaron. Fucking. Want to grab that. Man. All these fucking muscles and we can't lift. I can't lift anything. Last time I did this, I fucking spilled it everywhere, Joe. So let's see what I got. This is gonna be fucking epic if I fuck this up. Oh, yeah. Oh.
Damn.
Woo.
That's a hefty shot.
It's supposed to fill to the top, right?
Yeah.
Fitness guys taking shots. Would have thought. Mic back on. All right.
Cheers.
Cheers. Thank you for coming on the Daily Dose.
Appreciate you having me on. Ooh, that's nice.
It's an immediate dub, off rip, dub. So, as I mentioned, we got Joe Bro in the building. So, Joe, what I'd like for you to tell you, the followers and the viewers, just a little bit about yourself, kind of like maybe a little bit of your upbringing and what got you into fitness, and then becoming a trainer, and then bodybuilder and the myths and in and outs of what bodybuilding really is, drugs, drug-free, that whole world, and then transition to becoming one of the best trainers in Houston and having a transition in that recently. So,
all right,
kick it off, Joe Bro.
Take it away.
Is that okay? Was it Joe Bro? What are we calling it?
I feel like everyone calls me Joe Bro now just because I've kind of coined that on like Instagram, you know, like Joe Bro. It would have been better if I got it without the double E's because sometimes people are like, oh, it's Joey Bro because the double E's. Yeah, cool. But yeah, so I'm 25, just turned 25 a couple months ago, and I've been out in Houston since.
And engaged. That was our talking point, engagement.
Three months ago, about 3 months ago. We're both engaged men now. Yep. The real question is going to be whose fiance plans the wedding first.
I hope yours wins. I'm prolonging it.
Oh gosh, better hope she's not listening outside. Anyway, so moved out to Houston 4 years ago now, summer of 2021, and the whole reason I moved out to Houston was to work at Alphaland. So when I was because I was living in New Mexico previously, right, and like everything's kind of it's crazy. I feel like my entire life has been very not rushed, but I've gone through things so quick, and I think that's one of my biggest flaws is learning to slow down because I'm so used to going so fast. Like at 15, which I wonder if you know this, would you ever guess that I was homeschooled my entire life?
No, bro.
I socialize well, right?
Yeah.
I'm like not weird.
No.
That's crazy. Yeah, so I was homeschooled my entire life. And my mom doesn't believe
especially you being a trainer too, because that's basically relationships every session.
Yeah,
so it's a lot.
Yeah. So growing up, my mom, she didn't believe in the public school system at all, right? Hardcore Catholic, hardcore conservative, like just didn't. And she was a teacher. She got her master's degree in psychology, so she was my teacher. But yeah, so I was homeschooled my entire life, and basically, as I started, once we turned 15, once we became freshmen, because I have 3 older sisters, so all my sisters were given the choice, like, you can either go to the public school for high school, or you can continue to be homeschooled and go to college early. And like at 12, I was like, I'm out of here, Mom. 2 more years. Because I played soccer, and I always got bullied because I was homeschooled. And it's so crazy because if you look at things now with the way that society is now, like homeschooling your kids is a lot more popular now than I think that it was previously.
For sure.
Just because of all the crap going on in public school systems. But yeah, so I was like, Mom, I'm out of here. Like 2 more years, I'm out of here. So she already knew. And my middle sister was the only one who like dropped out of college, kind of had like a non-traditional route that they had gone. And my mom was not very happy about that and blamed public school, right? Like, so my middle sister got introduced to like drugs and alcohol and just normal high school stuff that you do. It's not like, you know, they interacted with it, but my mom was like, that was the public school system. Like, that's their fault. Because again, hardcore conservative, hardcore Catholic. So like, I didn't have like a cell phone. We didn't play video games. We weren't allowed to watch TV, like crazy stuff. Alyssa always makes fun of me because I never watched SpongeBob ever. And she'll like say these like little like SpongeBob references. And I'm like, am I supposed to know what that is? And she's like, oh yeah, I forgot you ever watched SpongeBob. But like even small things like that, like we just weren't allowed to do it. So yeah, at like, you know, 15 we were given that choice and my mom wouldn't let me have that choice. She was like, you're too smart. And I was so pissed. I was so mad at her because, you know, I was like wanted to be normal. I wanted to be normal, but they would have held me back a year. So I would have been 15 as a freshman and I would have been 16, you know, as a sophomore. So like I would have been held back a year. So my mom was like, no, you're too smart for that. So essentially at 15, I was basically a junior in high school at 15 essentially, or like sophomore. And my mom started, she enrolled me in college classes. So in New Mexico, you can go to the community college for free as a homeschool student, completely for free. And you're only paying for like your books and stuff.
Very nice.
So when I was 17 and I graduated, it was basically just like I took my GED and that was about it. I didn't have like a graduation ceremony, or I mean I had like a ceremony at home and stuff, but like I didn't get to walk or like do any of that stuff. Didn't really care though. But yeah, at 17 I had 40 college credits already. And then when I enrolled into college, like I was so independent at that point because I was so mad at my mom. I like hated being at home. So I just worked. So like I got to make my own schedule because I mean like when you're in college, like you just take your credit hours. It's usually Monday, Wednesday classes, which meant that Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, like I wasn't doing anything. So I worked full time. So I just started working. I was a soccer coach at a indoor soccer facility and they had like morning classes, but it was basically child development. So I was a soccer coach. So I did that. And I got addicted to basically working. Like I work. I was like, you're telling me I can make my own money? Yeah. And like I could, because we never got allowances growing up. So it was like, if I wanted to make $5, I had to like go, you know, like clean my dad's car or something like that. Right. So very, very traditional. Like kids now, like they get allowances, they get paid, mom and dad's credit card. Never had that. Everything I did was, you know, making my own money. So, so yeah, basically I was just working a lot. And then when I turned 17, I started going to the University of New Mexico. And I had already had that college experience. Like my mom was like, you know, like college starts next week. And I was like, oh shit, really? She was like, did you take the ACT? Like I gave you that summer prep book. And I was like, yeah, I threw that in my closet. Like, and she was like, you need that. And I was like, okay. So I like the next week I took the ACT like a couple days before it started, didn't study for it, got like a 21, got like a, you know, pretty average ACT score, basically. I don't test well in that sense because I'm not used to those testing methods. Growing up being homeschooled, our tests were like interactive, right? We would, you know, we were always just doing like class discussions. Like we would write papers, like when we would read books, we'd like read them and we'd discuss them in class and stuff. And when I say like class, basically my mom started her own school. Essentially it was like a homeschool support. So basically once a week you would go for your full classes and then you would get homework assigned for the entire week. So like on Tuesdays, homeschool parents would send their kids to the church, and that's where we had the school at. My mom had like almost 300 students in her school. And so we would, you know, you'd have a normal classes, you'd start with church, and then you'd go to like your normal classes, and then you'd get homework for the entire week and school projects and stuff like that. And so it was one day that we got to like interact and things like that. And
so in that whole journey, were you into fitness then? Where was the...
So
I know the work ethic. I'm seeing the work ethic. That's where that shit came from, because your schedule's insane. I want you to tell people your schedule when you're working at Alpha Land. Were you into the bodybuilding and all that stuff at that time, or where did that start kicking into gear?
Yeah.
To make it a part of your life?
When I played, so I played soccer, but my parents couldn't afford to send me to like the bigger clubs. And if you know how like club sports are, which you know you train a lot of kids, I'm sure you're very familiar, like it's very much pay to play. You want the good coaches, you want to compete against high level players, you have to be you're traveling to Hawaii, you're doing all these tournaments. We could never do that. So I always played on like the Hispanic teams, we're like, you know, practicing at a park and stuff like that. So I was not very good at soccer, to be honest. I tried out, you know, I made the C team, and I think the second year when I made JV, I had like injured my hamstring basically, and I went to the physical therapist, and I didn't even pull it, right? It was basically just like a hamstring strain. And the physical therapist there, they did a couple tests and they were like, yeah, you can't play soccer this season. And I'm like, why? It's just like, it was hurt. It was always tight. It was always cramping. It just caused a lot of problems. And they were like, yeah, like, and they would just have me do a bunch of banded stuff. And I remember just sitting there being like, this is such a waste of time. And my brother-in-law, he's an Olympic weightlifter, and he's got a couple gold medals in New Mexico. So he had a, you know, garage gym. They did a lot of CrossFit at that time. And he was like, nah, like we can rehab it. Cause like at this physical therapy place, they didn't have me squat. They didn't have me do anything. They just sat me on a table and I'd put a band around my leg and I would just do leg extensions and hamstring curls. And and they were like, yep, like your soccer season's done. And I was like, for what, you know? So it never made sense. So he was like, no, you need to start working out with me. So he came in, he put me on the classic strength program, 5x5 squat 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 5x5 squat, 3x5 bench, 3x5 pull-ups, and then the other day was 3x10 deadlift and 3x5 overhead press. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, everything was the exact same. Each day I came in, add 5 pounds to every lift. If I couldn't get a full 5 reps for every single set, then I would drop 10 pounds and I would restart. And I did the exact same thing. And I remember the first time I walked in there, I got underneath the bar, never squatted in my life. And I was like, it hurts my neck. Can I have like a towel or something? He was like, you want a pussy pad? And he was like, if you want a pussy pad, get out of my gym and don't come back.
Yeah, I know about those.
And I was like, yeah, I know. Because anytime my clients grab it, I'm like, you want a pussy pad? And it's like my female clients, I'm like, never mind, you can have it. No big deal. But yeah, so he had me start coming in, and I was going in 3 times a week. And then my sister was encouraging me to do CrossFit. And she was like, it'll help you a lot with soccer, you know, like it'll help you a lot with soccer. You'll get your conditioning up and stuff. So I was going to CrossFit, and I was just trying to learn how to do muscle ups and dips and all that stuff. And I hated the running aspect. I hated running, just always hated running. And so I'd always try and avoid it and show up late to the CrossFit classes so I wouldn't have to run in the beginning or whatever, like, oh, sorry, I was stuck in traffic, whatever it would be. And so I kind of just did that, and I started getting stronger. So that season, like, it was during the winter when I was like lifting, go back out for the following summer. I think this is junior year now. Go back out the following summer, junior year, after having strength trained for maybe like 8-10 months every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And it was funny because my brother-in-law, like, I'd always see the other kids going to like weightlifting class and stuff, and they're doing biceps and triceps, and I always ask my brother, I'm like, can we do any curls or anything? He's like, we need your biceps for it. Just get your fork from your plate to your mouth. He was like, you don't need biceps. And so he was like, you just need these. And we'd like, it was the same warm-up, like Little World's Greatest, some like banded stability stuff, but it was the exact same thing. And I think I was like 120, 130 pounds. And I think I got my like back squat up to like 265, 275. So I got it up pretty high. I was like doing double my body weight. Always sucked at bench. Could never even get up to a plate on bench. Deadlift I was always really good at. So anything like legs I was always really good at. And yeah, so I go back out for summer training and stepped onto the field. I was faster, I was stronger, I wasn't getting pushed around, and I was actually kind of starting to body some kids up. And I had been playing a lot of indoor soccer, like talking like I'd go on Saturdays, I would just go sit at the indoor facility all day, and like it was adult league, so I would just be like, hey, you guys need an extra player, and someone wouldn't show up. They'd be like, yeah, we'll take an extra sub. And I would just play. I'd do like 10 games a day, like they're like 40-minute games, 10 games a day playing indoor. And so I just got so comfortable playing very fast soccer, got comfortable playing like on a small field, learning to like just building my confidence up was a big thing. And then that summer I went out there and I started pushing those kids around and I was like, whoa, shit, like I'm actually kind of getting a little bit better, but it still wasn't enough. And because all the kids that were all the kids that were the same age as me had been going to school, they played at the higher level clubs. So not only was I like, I would go and I'd feel really good and then I'd get like bullied, or like I'd be the ones like, you know, at the end of practice, they'd like throw all the balls on me, like you pick up, right? And I'd feel really good coming in and leave like this. Like I was always just like leaving on a down. And I was like, man, like always getting bullied was so frustrating. So then when I played indoor, I always felt so much better because a lot of, you know, 40 and 50-year-olds playing. I'm like this 16-year-old kid. I'm running around them. It always made me feel so good. So I was just like, man, I'm actually good at soccer here, but I suck out here. So then I ended up playing club again. They changed the rules. I was able to play club, so I was able to play kind of like down a year basically. And so I played down a year and I played on this team. And I think this was my senior year I think I was like 17. And I played club. And I remember I went out there and I had been playing so much indoor and I started playing men's advanced league at the indoor facility. And that's where I started getting a bunch of concussions because I was just getting like thrown into the glass, like pushed around. But that's what taught me to kind of like be like a lot tougher. Learning to stand up for myself, learning to like, if I got pushed down, learning how to be like more tactile. Cause I was very much someone playing, when I would play soccer, someone would foul me and like I was shut down the rest of the game. Someone was talking trash to me, like I'd just be like, okay, yeah, you're right. Like I was always someone who backed down. And so I started getting a lot better at that. And I went out to this club tryout and this coach was like, kind of like, where'd you come from? I was like, I was just like play a lot of indoor, you know, they changed the rules. I kind of got this extra year play. He was like, you know, like we want you. And so I was playing with, and I thought that this club was going to be like a lot better. And a lot of the kids were like the kids that didn't make it from JV to varsity their senior year. A lot of kids that were just kind of like, whatever. And so the coach was like, dude, like, I want you to play. I'll make you the team captain. You can play whatever position you want. And I was like, all right, cool. Bet. Wasn't that expensive, so my parents paid for it. And I was able to play center back. And I had more goals than our forwards because he would let me go from center back and I would just dribble all the way up the field because I had so much more confidence. I was team captain. I was like leading it and stuff like that. I started getting more exposure. I was playing so much indoor. I was getting so much better at my actual game. I was still training now. I'm like 160 pounds. I'm starting to like add some more weight on. Starting to get a lot stronger. Still doing the CrossFit, still working out and all that stuff. And then as I started doing that, there was a semi-pro soccer player that worked at the same facility as me. I was like, dude, I want you to help me get better at being a center back. And he was like, and I was like, I'll pay you whatever. He was like, just pay me $20. So we did 3 times a week, $20 sessions, and we just did defense specific stuff. So I got so much better at my game. And then I started playing and, you know, we had a night, like we had like an upset against one of the teams that we played. It was basically like we were the B team and this was the A team, same club. And I scored on them as a 1-1. We tied them, or I think it was 2-1. We ended up winning, and I scored against them, and it was like our first win of the entire season. We sucked outside of that, but our first win of the entire season. And so then the following year when I went out to tryouts, that coach was, and I was already in college at this point, and that coach was like, "You were the one that scored on us, right?" And I was like, "Yeah," and he was like, "Yeah, I want you to play," and then he put me in like forward in midfield.
When you and your that guy, was it your teammate who was asked you about training? Who was that? Or just somebody against the team you were placing?
What do you mean?
You were talking about the guy. Somebody asked you, you're getting pretty good, and he offered to pay for your training, right?
No. This was, I offered to pay a semi-pro player at work.
You paid him.
I was paying him to help me get better at playing.
He was seeing your workout progression.
No.
And he thought you were getting better.
Him,
so I thought that's how you got in the fitness journey.
No. So okay. I paid him, and so now I'm working out and stuff like that too.
Okay.
And again, I was playing at that indoor facility so much, so then I ended up playing. Well, what happened is I got 6 concussions in 2 years. So like every 4 months, I basically got a bunch of concussions, and I got to the point like I split my head open on one at a tournament, like a head-to-head collision, because I would play real aggressive, but I was like aggressive, but like uncontrolled, like sloppy aggressive. So I was getting red cards because like I was really good at slide tackling, but like I was taking players out. But my coach, like, I didn't have any repercussions because I was like kind of like the team captain. So he was kind of just like, yeah, whatever. So I was kind of like real reckless. So I got a bunch of concussions, and then I was working so much because I'm going to college, I'm working, I'm playing soccer, I'm training, I'm doing the CrossFit stuff. So my first concussion was, I'm driving home, I'm so exhausted. I got like an hour I could go home and take a nap before I got to drive back across town. Fell asleep driving, 3-car pile up, smacked my head on the thing, freaked out, like first car accident. I'm like freaked out. This was my car, like kind of like built it with my dad, and I'm like freaking out. The like lady in front of me was like pregnant, and everyone was fine. My car was on fire, like it was all crunched up in the car. I like climb out. There's a bunch of kids from the school like driving by, like, Joe, are you all right? Like people are like talking about him, seeing him take pictures. I'm like, fuck, like I like I've only been driving for like a year and a half. Like my dad's gonna kill me. And like, cops like kind of like, what happened? I'm like, I don't know. Well, I was so exhausted. I fell asleep, but I didn't, it wasn't like like a doze off. It was like I'm driving and I like close my eyes to blink and like I wake up and the car's on fire. And I was so exhausted, and then obviously I'm concussed, so I don't know what's going on. And so then my mom shows up to the scene. She's like, well, he has a history of seizures when he was like younger, so they thought I had a seizure. So because it was a medical emergency, I didn't get a ticket or anything like that. Well, the ambulance took me to the hospital and they like dropped me off at the curb. My mom was so pissed, so I'm just sitting outside the hospital. I don't know where I'm at, all this stuff. So that was the first bad concussion that I had, and then got one in a tournament a couple months later. Got one playing indoor, like playing in that men's advanced league. Like those guys would just get so heated and like just shove you. I had a guy just like kick a ball straight at my head, hit me in the back of the head, knocked me out. And he was a brain surgeon. He was like came check on me. He was like, are you all right? And I'm like, they had to rush me to the hospital. And so eventually on my sixth one, the doctor was like, if you get another bad concussion, like, you're going to be in a coma. Like your concussions are so bad and they're getting progressively worse. And because they're so close to each other, we don't know the long-term impact it's having. And I was having to miss like work, and I was having to miss college and stuff like that. And like I said, I was always just like so reckless, but I wanted to play so bad because I was actually now starting to get good at soccer. And so I was like, man, like this is like where my prime is. And yeah, so after all those concussions, I couldn't really I couldn't play very much anymore. And I had already been, coaching the little kids soccer, and I was doing some strength training. Well, basically, that year I was doing the child development. I got an offer to be like a child development. I was like a program coordinator for one of the clubs to run like their U5 through like U8 program. So I ran like the west side. So we had like west side and east side. I ran the west side. So like I was one that had all the equipment. I created all the curriculum, did all the stuff. I hired the coaches, all that stuff. And I'm like 17 years old. And one of the coaches just really, really liked me. And so one of the parents was out there. He was like, you're really, really good with these kids. And I loved coaching kids. And he was like, you're really good with these kids. Like, what are you studying in school? Kind of just asked a little bit about me. And I was like, yeah, like I wanted to do physical therapy because I was so into like the working out and the rehab. And then after having my hamstring issue and then rehabbing it with actual working out, I was like, man, if these physical therapists are getting paid six figures and they're not doing shit, imagine if I was actually good, right? So I was like, okay, I'll be a physical therapist. And I knew I wanted to be something in the medical career because that's what made money. And I was like, I don't want to, because my dad was like an engineer tech, my mom was a teacher, and I was like, I don't want to live like that. Like I want a higher salary. I want to live like a more luxurious life. But the thing was like I sucked at sciences because I was homeschooled. So like when we were going to college, and first day I walked in and did chemistry, and the teacher's like, all right, put the problem up on the board. And she's like, all right, this year, like, and I just see a bunch of letters and numbers. I'm like, what the fuck does this mean? I never took chemistry my entire life. So like it took me 6 times to take it before I finally passed it. Cause I'm like 18, 19 years old, never taking chemistry, trying to learn all these concepts and all this stuff. But yeah, so there's this guy, and he was a coach, and he was like, well, hey, he was like, I'm a strength and conditioning coach at a private high school. It was actually the rival school that I was working at. And he was like, we're doing like a high school strength and conditioning internship. I'd love for you to like come interview for it. So I was like, all right, went out there, and it was very similar to kind of what I was already kind of doing. He was like, all right, well, to be able to do it, you need a NASM. Okay. And I was like, okay. And he was like, just for like our liability and stuff. It was an unpaid internship. And I was like, yeah, like I'll take it. Like this is exciting. I'm learning more weightlifting stuff. So took the NASM in like 3 weeks, like totally BS'd it, failed it the first time. Cause I was like, these questions, like at this point I had more knowledge because I was already in school. I was taking anatomy and physiology. And the NASM cert is just so basic. And I failed it because I skipped all like the psychology aspect of it. And I was just like, whatever, I know how to train. I know how to nutrition. I know basic stuff. And so then I took it the second time, got that internship. And so that summer was like the first summer, like I had just graduated high school. I was basically like a full-on freshman in college. And that summer I'm doing this strength conditioning internship. And so I'm going from, this was like where my schedule just got so busy and I was like hooked on it. I would go from the strength conditioning internship, which was 5 a.m. to 8 a.m. And we did every single team. We did like boys, girls soccer. So what I was responsible for there at this internship was doing their warm-ups. Mm-hmm. So all the banded stuff, internal, external rotation, their foam rolling, all that stuff. And then we would go through the programming. So very similar to kind of like what you guys do at the gym, where you guys, you have the family workouts, and then that's the workouts that we do for the day. We would do the same thing. The day before, we'd do the workout, and the next day, that's what we're taking the kids through. So we had a good understanding of it. And the two head coaches were just kind of walking around helping cue and do all that stuff. So us as interns, there was me and one other guy. We were doing all the foam rolling, and I was learning to control a crowd of high school kids that didn't want to be there, that were privileged private school kids, showed up late. And, my responsibility, because the head coach would be like, keep them in line. Like, you got 10 minutes to warm them up. If they're not warm when they come out, like, that's on you. So I was learning to manage these groups of 30 kids and stuff like that. And so yeah, I was working there. That's where I really kind of got into like the actual like training aspect. That was my first time being able to like coach for like weightlifting and stuff. And I built a lot of confidence. I learned all their speed and agility stuff. Like they had, their programming method. And they worked very closely with, are you familiar with Landau Performance? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So all their speed and agility stuff was basically from Landau.
So with all this, it sounds like I didn't know you were all in the sports stuff. With the sport specific and all that, why the bodybuilding route?
So basically how that happened was...
How did that happen, and then you became the certified glute builder, and the story behind that, and then the alpha line.
Right. Yeah, so I was doing all the sports stuff, and at the soccer facility I was working at, they refused to make me a nighttime manager. I'm 17, just turned 18. They're like, you're too young. And that was the biggest thing that always pissed me off when people told me that, because they'd be like, you're too young. And I'm like, I've worked here for 3 years, got the highest sales at anyone, I'm never late, all this stuff. And they're like, nope, you're just too young, we don't trust you to run the facility at night. So I was like, all right, F you guys. So I went and I got a job. They were like, you're not, and they even told me too, they're like, you're not going to find something that pays you better than what we pay you. And I was like, bet. I went and got an internship at Sandia National Labs, which is the nuclear security facility in New Mexico, and was making like double there. And I was like, all right, F you guys, look at what I got. So I'm going to that internship in the morning, 5 a.m. to 8 a.m. Then I'm going and working at Sandia Labs from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Then 5 p.m. I get off and I would go coach soccer, and I would go do that from like 5:30, 6 p.m. to like 8 p.m. during the summer. And then to make extra money, I would go ref soccer games at the indoor facility from 8:30 to like 11. And then I was in summer school. So I'd go home, and I had my ex-girlfriend at the time. I'd go over there, I'd do homework at her place, and then I was getting like 2 hours of sleep. I did this for a month straight. I was late everywhere I went because I was always just behind, always waking up late, never prepared. So I was always late. So like it just became an expectation. Like people were like, oh, Joe's always going to be late. Well, about 2 months in, like midway through the summer, I'm at Sandia Labs. I fall asleep at my desk 15 minutes before my day was over. Just like, because I hated working that job. I was a clerical intern. I just filed paperwork all day, but I was getting paid stupid money. And then I had like a security badge. Like it looked really good on my resume. Fell asleep. Next day, the new manager comes in, fires me. Like anything. And I literally walked outside and I started crying because I was like, my dad had told me, he was like, because I was driving 45 minutes to school every day. And I was like, he was like, you can't move into the dorms until like you can pay me 12 months of rent up front. So I needed like $6,000. And I was like crying. So I was like, where the fuck am I going to get this money? And so what ended up happening is fired me, and my parents were on vacation at the time. So I was like, well, I got to figure something out. So during that summer, I went down to the high school that I had never made varsity for. I quit my senior year because I was getting bullied so much. And I went down there and I talked with the coach. I was like, yeah, I'm a speed and agility specialist. I'd love to do like a seminar for your kids. And he was like, yeah. So the kids that had bullied me, I'm now coaching them. I did this speed and agility thing. I took all the stuff I learned from my internship that I was still doing, applied it there, and I was like, I run like speed and agility specialist. The coach, hyped me up to all the parents. Got like my first 5 clients basically like that. Parents like, how much is it? And I'm like, $10. And the parents like, heck yeah. Right, like $10 for speed and agility training? Fuck yeah. So I had a bunch of kids. We started training at these tennis courts, and we did speed and agility drills. And basically one of the kids that I was coaching was same situation as me, bullied, not very good at soccer, all this different stuff. And I guess he was going to commit suicide, and his parents found a suicide letter that he had wrote. And one of the things he put on there was, he goes, I just don't want to, he was like, I'm like, one of the things in his journal was like, I don't want to miss speed and agility class tomorrow with Joe. And the mom was like super emotional. She found it. She came. She like showed me. She was like, we can't afford to keep paying for this. She was like, but this is like changing my son's life. And I was like, you know what? I don't care about the money. Like, just keep having him come. She was like, okay. She was like, are you sure? And I was like, yes. Like, especially knowing that, yeah, I'm not going to leave this kid behind. Yeah. So his aunt was the head coach for the biggest private school in the state and the #1 soccer team in the state. And so he was talking to her about dinner at dinner. She went and watched one of his games. She was like, he's gotten a lot faster. He's gotten a lot better at soccer. What has he been doing? And his aunt was an ex-Navy SEALs, and she played for the women's national team. She was like all business. So she called me and she was like, hey, I want you to come interview for a varsity coaching position at Academy. And I was like, okay. She was like, you don't do drugs, right? I was like, no. She's like, okay, as long as you can pass the drug test, you're good. I was like, all right. Went down there, gave me her full varsity team. And when I say that, like, and all this segues into the bodybuilding aspect, but when I say that I have never seen a high school soccer team be so respectful. These kids stood in military attention. They made eye contact with you the entire time. She, at that time, that was her 14th year there, they had 13 state titles. They never lost. And they were a 4A school. They got all private school kids, so they didn't get a bunch of talent, but she created the talent. And these kids did military style training, like running, like we're talking about wrapping arms and doing like military push-ups, like how they do in the water, like Navy SEALs, 300 push-ups, 300 sit-ups, like every single practice. Like these kids were intense. And so I took these kids, and I'm seeing her, and she's just got her clipboard. She's like ready to like grade me. Had no idea what I was doing. I wasn't good at soccer, but I was good at speed and agility, and I was good at like making shit up basically. So I made up this drill, and had these kids do it. One of the kids like didn't listen to me. And I got like on him right away, because I was like, noticed her tone, and I was like, okay, she's very serious with these kids. They don't meet the expectation, I'm gonna yell at them. I'm gonna make them do push-ups for not listening. And she basically was like, all right, explain your thought process with like this whole drill, and just made something up. She was like, I love it, you're hired. And I was like, whoa. And I started making a lot more money with that. Well, anyway, so I started coaching, and I'm doing all this stuff, and I'm doing a lot of the private training. That's where I started JDL, which is my initials, JDL performance training. And that's where I did the speed and agility training. And so I started having kids on Sundays, $10, a bunch of kids come to a park. We do speed and agility drills, and I'm still doing all that internship stuff, which was all free. And I remember going always into my internships, and I was like, look at how many kids that are paying me on the side. I should be getting paid for this internship. Yep. And I started telling the guys that, and they were like, you know, you got to do the free work you got to do the work for free to be able to make the big career stuff later. And I never appreciated it, but I appreciate it so much now. But I never appreciated it then. But then basically COVID hit. And once COVID hit, I'm like, well, crap, there's no soccer, there's no school. I was working in a restaurant as well. So I was like, there's nothing. And at the time, one of the entrepreneurs that I knew has a meal prep company back in New Mexico, and he was like, Joe, like I was starting to post content. He was like, I love the way you work out. Like, you know, like I just made a bunch of hype videos.
Hey, walking dripped out, you see the details. I got water on me dripping like a seashell.
And he was like, I want to work out with you. Like, I saw your deadlift video. Like, I want to work out with you. Train me. It's like, how much does it cost to train me? And I was like, I don't know, like $20. And he was like, because I know your worth and you don't. He was like, I'm gonna pay you $50. I was like, $50? I was like, all right, yeah, like I'm down. He's like, okay. And he was the one that would kind of teach me, like I'd show up like 2 minutes late. He did not like that. You know what I mean? Like, this is where I'm learning all these things. And so basically one of his friends owned an Herbalife shop, and she was like, she reached out to me when COVID hit, and she was like, hey, Carlo referred me to you, and he said that you do like training. I have a gym at my place. What are your prices for training? And I was like, all right, $50. She's like, 50? She's like, hell yeah. She's like, my last trainer was like 150. And I was like, damn. I was like, all right. So I started training her at her Herbalife gym. This is during COVID. And I'm doing more like strength and conditioning style workouts, but I'm kind of starting to dabble with the bodybuilding, because one of the coaches that I met through one of the internships did like a lot of like hybrid training. So he basically took the strength and conditioning and he merged it. He was a model, so he merged it with hypertrophy type stuff, and he called it strength hypertrophy hybrid.
Are you in Houston yet now?
No, I'm in New Mexico still. And so he was doing online training for me, and so I started doing that program. And so I would like deadlift, but then I would like do dumbbell bench, and I was doing bicep curls. So I was doing a lot of the stuff I loved, but I was getting like shoulders and arms, and I was really getting excited about it. So I was training her like that. She loved it, and I told her, I was like, if you ever bring a friend, they can come for free the first time, and then it's $50 for them too. She brought me like my first 10 clients, and I'm like, this is during COVID, and at this time I don't have a business set up, I don't have anything. So she's like, how do you want me to pay you? I'm like, just cash. Well, I'm getting government checks because we're not in school. The restaurant's closed down, so I'm getting like $700 a week on unemployment. They kicked us out of the dorms because of COVID. So I'm living with my sister because I didn't want to live back with my parents. So I'm living with my sister. So I got no expenses basically. And I'm just making, like, at this time, this is when you saw a big health craze, right? People were like wanting to take their health a lot more serious. So I'm just getting clients, because I'm charging like $50. Every other trainer's charging like $7,500. And I'm like, I got no overhead costs, And so I was training her at her gym. Well, then I went to a CrossFit gym, and I was like, I need a space to train at. And they were like, yeah, it's like $500 a month rent. It's like, all right, cool. I got 30 clients there within the first month, and I'm just like hustling. It's all cash. I'm making like wads of cash, and I kept it in a supplements container at my sister's house. And I was like, I just had these like big wads of cash because it looked like I was unemployed. And so we basically, for school, we went on spring break. This is my senior year of college. We went on spring break and never came back to school because they didn't have anything set up, no online, nothing. So we basically had 3 free months off school. And so I'm just getting paid. I'm training people, and I'm starting to dabble with more of the bodybuilding stuff. Well, at this time too, I had seen Christian Guzman post a lot about summer shredding. Summer shredding, I think, launched in, I want to say 2018. And so I was watching his YouTube videos. I'm watching like the how to bulk, what I eat in a day stuff. I'm starting to watch all these YouTube videos because I know a little bit about nutrition from a sports side, but I could not gain weight to save my life. And now I'm at a gym that's like $10 a month. It's across from the university, and there's a lot of big dudes there. And these big dudes were similar to my age. They were like gym bullies basically. And I was like, all right. So I'm trying to be friends with them, and they're like, like I'm kind of like the little guy that's kind of like, yo, what's up, guys? Like, what are we hitting today? Kind of like that. So they kind of was just like, like, what's up, dude? Kind of like, I was stroking their egos. I was like, dude, y'all are strong. Like, how do you guys like lift so much? Like, you guys are so big. Like, I'm like just infatuated with the fact that these guys are like huge. I'm like, you're the same age as me, and you weigh like 100 pounds more. Like, how do you put on so much size? I'm trying to figure this out. I'm taking nutrition in college, and nothing is answering my questions. I'm like, I'm eating like 3,000, 4,000 calories a day. Like, I cannot get bigger. And so that's when I was like, well, you know what? I'm going to do a bodybuilding show. So I tell these guys, I'm like, yo, y'all are doing bodybuilding? Like, I think I want to compete. I want to do this summer shredding thing. And they laughed at me, and they're like, you're too small to compete. And I was like, oh, fuck you guys. All right, well, watch me. So I was like, all right. So then that's when the coach I was already working with, I told him, I was like, I want to do a bodybuilding show. He was like, all right. He was still doing a lot of the hybrid stuff with me, and I was like, and then I started getting more like watching Christian's videos, starting seeing how training was a lot different. No one back squatted, no one deadlifted, and I was like, God, I really want to keep this, but I want to get bigger, like way more than I want to keep this. So then I hired a different bodybuilding coach, like, someone who was familiar with steroids and familiar with all that stuff. And I was like, all right, bodybuild me. And he was like, all right. And I got a couple of my buddies to do the show with me. And I was like, let's prep together during COVID. I was like, we got nothing better to do. And I think I really hit a low because from like February to April when COVID had first hit, we had nothing to do. So I would train clients, and then I would just get drunk all day long. I'd get drunk and I'd go to my sister's house and work out, be thrown up on the side of the yard. I remember I came and I was starting to put on weight because I was drinking so much. So I'm putting on a ton of weight and I'm like, yeah, I'm bulking and the bulk's working. I'm eating Oreos, I'm eating junk food because I'm getting so much money that I'm like, I had nothing else to do. And my sister, like, I remember I showed up one time and she was like, you gotta stop. I was like, what? She's like, dude, your face is swollen, you're breaking out everywhere, like your fucking gut's hanging out, like you look gross. And I was like, fuck, all right, I gotta get my shit together. And I was really depressed. I had broken up with my ex-girlfriend. There's like a whole bunch of just life shit going on. And COVID was just a depressing time, right? Like we're stuck in our thing. And me being someone who was now thriving off social interaction after not having no older brothers, no like close friends. I got roommates. Now I can't be with my roommates. I'm living at my sister's house. Like, it was like rough. And so like I'm just out drinking with friends and stuff. And so I really kind of like starting getting in with food and things started opening up more. So then I just like threw myself in, and school was still on hold. So I just threw myself into work. And I'm like kind of taking some of my summer classes, but because of COVID, they were just like, if you need more time, to finish all your finals, you can do them at home. And they wouldn't let us come to class. So it was like, nothing was proctored. So we're cheating on every exam. I'm just like, whatever, I'm so done with college at this point. And I'm just like, I'm probably making like $6-7 a month in cash training people. And I was like, I love coaching kids. So I started this like high school bodybuilding group. So I'm doing bodybuilding. Now I'm teaching these kids how to diet. I'm like learning how to make meal plans, learning how to do this stuff. Had this group of like 20 kids and we were training at a CrossFit gym. And that's where I was learning to like, how can I take the bodybuilding concepts and put them in like a strength and conditioning aspects? Like how can we do back squats and bench press and get bigger and stuff? And I had these group of kids, and that gym saw how many people I had coming in. And these kids sometimes would leave it a little bit of a mess, and they go, all right, your rent's now $1,500. Because it went from $500, $1,500. I'd only been there a month. I'd made so much noise. I had so many clients coming in. They're like, yeah, you're keeping our electricity on, you're increasing our bills and all this stuff. And I was like, boop, all right, I'll walk. So I went to another gym. So I'm trying to find all these different things. So can't find a gym to work at now. Like I'm really kind of struggling there. My clients like, wherever you go, we'll go. Finally found like not a commercial gym, but finally found another gym to train at, and that's where my coach was at. And so I'm doing the bodybuilding stuff. I'm doing it. There was no contracting fees. They were just like, your clients just need memberships. That's it. And I was like, bet. So I'm just training clients there. There's a lot of personal trainers there. And I was still like very much like that kid that just didn't get like respected. I'm like this young kid. And at the time I was definitely really douchey. I'm bodybuilding. I'm like really feeling myself now. I'm wearing stringers around the gym, wearing like short shorts, showing off my quads, like all this stuff. And so I wasn't really well respected there. And I was just kind of like, well, fuck you. I have more clients than you. Well, fuck you. I make more money than you. And I was just walking around kind of carrying myself with this. So anyway, after getting bullied by those guys really bad, like I was suicidal. Like these guys were harassing me, like, cause I was like, they had pissed me off. So I was like, all right, I'll piss you off. So I started talking to their girls. And like at this time I was like changing a lot. Like I'm shredded. I got 6-pack abs. I'm working out. I'm training people. I'm making noise. I'm posting all this content on social media. I'm making noise. And so we kind of had this like little like social media battle kind of going on, like, and that's when I launched my business, Hustle Mode Fitness. And I started selling PDF programs. I'm trying to make money during COVID, and they started like copycatting it, took my PDFs, rebranded it into started selling it. Oh, it's our own thing. And it was just like pissing me off. So I'm like at war with these guys. But again, like I'd always been someone who backed down. So I was like, all right, I'll just go in my own lane. I'll be quiet. You guys can be over there. So like I quit working out at that gym, all this stuff. Then I went out in October of 2020 and I did the show, the first summer shredding show.
With the show, I'm sorry, with the show, is there like rules with the testing and stuff for steroids because it's considered a bodybuilding show, or is it not?
So yeah, normally, but this is summer shredding, so it's its own federation basically. So summer shredding is like not, because there's NPC, which is like where all the IFBBs, like the big guys are. Then there's the OCB, which is the naturals, like so only, that's tested. And then summer shredding is just like a for funsy division basically. So a lot of people didn't take it very serious as bodybuilding. It's a lot more serious now because they've been doing it for 6 years now. And they actually have like, there's sometimes like, because I did an NPC show this past year and my coach came in, he was like, dude, this summer shredding is way more organized. There's way more competitors. It's more competitive because Christian gives a lot more prize money out than any other show does.
And there's no testing.
Now they offer testing in certain divisions, but otherwise no.
So when did it come about that you got exposed and that felt like you needed to cave into that or to achieve that look. It is now. I feel like today it's cool to say you're on steroids. Well,
almost.
It's like both. So there's some people who won't fucking admit it, and I fucking know you're on it. And then it's the side of like you ask dudes now, oh yeah, I'm on this, this, and this. So, like, why'd you even? Yeah, talk about that.
So basically, I did that show. Came like it was like $155 on stage.
Okay.
Next closest guy was 50 pounds heavier. I look like a twig up there. And I did classic physique because I like the posing. So I did both. Had no idea how to like properly prep. Well, I mean, I had a coach, but I blew my prep. I blew the diet last 3 weeks of just binging ice cream. Like I struggled with the discipline aspect. And so then I came back and, well, when you're natural and you diet down that long, and then I didn't reverse diet. So immediately after the show, just started, I haven't had Panda Express in forever. I haven't had all this stuff. So just 2 weeks straight, just junk food. Crashed my testosterone. Like I'm talking like I'm having to drink about 6 energy drinks a day to stay awake.
Yeah.
Like, and they were big energy drinks, so they were 300 milligrams caffeine. My caffeine intake's like 1,200 milligrams at this point, and I'm not able to stay awake. I can't get a pump to save my life. I can't work out. My joints are hurting, everything. And so then I hired a different coach, someone that I had met in Houston, and he was like, and Alyssa had saw me compete, and she was like, I want to do it. So I was like, okay. So I paid for her to get the coach, and then I was like, you know what, I'll do it too. Let's do it together. That's kind of when we started the Swole Mates thing. So this is early, like January 2021, and TikTok had already kind of been around. New Mexico's barely starting to reopen after COVID. Like they were closed down for months, and so a lot of things are popping. Like a lot of like people have money now. They're wanting to pay for training. So I'm doing well with training, doing all that stuff. I'm making probably close to like 10K a month, almost maybe like 7-8K a month. First time I'm like at that. So I told Alyssa, I was like, quit your job. Like I got you. Like we're good. We're living. And so she got into the bodybuilding. So we're working out together and all this stuff. And my coach, first time I got blood work done, and my testosterone levels came back like sub 200. Like down there, they're down there, and that's crap. That's really, really bad. And I felt like crap. And I was like, I really want to do this bodybuilding thing. Like I loved competing at summer shredding. I was like, I really want to do this bodybuilding thing. He was like, well, if you want to take this bodybuilding thing serious, then like you're gonna need to hop on something. Like if you want to be competitive, you're gonna need to hop on something.
I don't approve of this message, but keep proceed.
And I was like, okay. And I was like so nervous. I was like, And my other coach had kind of like told me, he was like, yeah, like, and he never really pushed me into my first coach I had, didn't really push me into it. He was like, I mean, if you want to, but like understand it. So reach out to him. I'm like, yo, what do you think? He was like, dude, you'd get fucking big. And I was like, all right. All right. And so I was like, okay. And so I was like really nervous about it. And I was like, all right, like just like a little bit. He was like, all right. So I started taking testosterone. And when I tell you, you feel at that point, going from having no testosterone to now, I went from about like sub 200 to then like my blood work was like 1,400 nanograms per deciliter testosterone. That's like double what the highest capable natural is. I put on about 20 pounds of muscle in about 40 days or so. Like I went from like 165, I got leaner, and then I got up to about like 175 or so. So I was getting leaner, and then I
weren't you scared to take that stuff?
Oh hell yeah, I was so scared. I had heard all these things.
And you didn't feel like you could just do it without it still? I know your diet was fucked up and everything, but like
I could have, but I didn't have a good understanding of like, in my head I was like, I feel like I eat good, I feel like I train. I in my head I'm like, I train hard. I'm like, I train hard. I deadlift X amount. I squat X amount. I train hard. Not understanding like strength and hypertrophy training are completely different things from that standpoint. And I guess I just didn't have a good understanding. Like now, 100% I could have turned things around. Would have required a lot of discipline. But that's the thing is, like I said, I already struggled with my discipline at that point. But like, so I started taking it and I felt so much better. So I was like, okay. And so like now the ball's rolling. But then with that comes like just insane emotional side effects. So like I was like extremely emotional trying to like figure out all these like things. Like, and that's when I went and competed at that second show, which was summer 2021. Didn't do very well because I couldn't, like when you're doing that, when you're taking like steroids, you got to be like managing your stress levels like a lot. And I was not good at doing that. So I'm dealing with like fighting with roommate at the time. We're thinking about moving. I'm dealing with like issues at the gym. I'm dealing with like other trainers trying to steal my clients, just like I would go from 0 to 100. Like I was just an emotional fucking wreck. And then I'm bodybuilding, so now I'm getting like angry. I'm having to diet, like all these things. Like I'm dieting. I can't have these things that I want. I got like 6 weeks until my show. Trainers are trying to steal my clients. I'm not making as much money as I was previously. Like it just the ebbs and flows, and I'm just like I'm living above my means. So like I'm not like we're not doing well. And then now we're blowing up on TikTok because we had a video go viral from Melissa and I training, and like 20 million views overnight. And like I got 100,000 followers on TikTok from like just that video. So now it's like, okay, well, now we need to work out together and keep this train going. And we already loved working out together, so we were working out together. So now I'm associating my look and me training with my success on TikTok. So now there's like well, if I don't go to the gym, then I have no content to post. So then my focus shifted from like trying to like win this bodybuilding show to just making content. And so just a bunch of shifts happened. So went down there, did the bodybuilding show, and I was like, this obviously sucks. Like, I really just don't like this. Came back home. 3 days later, we packed up. We moved to Houston. I had like no money. Came down here, and I was like, I know Alpha Land's going to be opening soon. I want to be down here when it opens. Like, Alpha Elite Gym, and I think you had mentioned this, the original Alpha Elite Gym, like, that environment, that community was intoxicating in such a good way. There were so many content creators there. There was so much going on. There's a lot of entrepreneurs. There's fitness brands. There's supplement companies. Like the opportunity was there versus I'm back home in New Mexico. Everyone's just like giving you dirty looks. And the thing is the guys that took steroids there, all the people I always saw were like the old dudes at the gym, that bunch of half reps, faces all red, broken out everywhere, and I was freaked out. I was like, I don't want that. And my coach was like, well, if you learn to manage your stress, like, and you learn to control your stuff, like that won't happen to you. I'm like, all right. So I'm still taking the testosterone and whatnot. And then, we get down to Houston and kind of just put all the bodybuilding stuff on hold. Well, then Alpha Land opens, and this is 2022. Alpha Land opens, and same thing. I'm trying to figure out a way that I can promote training without being like, this is how you grow your biceps. Because like, I don't want to do that. And so at that time, mic'd up videos had started becoming popular. And everyone on social media would always talk about how social media influencers don't train that hard.
They don't. And
so I was like, well, what if I take someone through like a raw, unedited workout and I just fucking kill them in a workout? So Alyssa and I did a mic'd up, and Alyssa's so good in the sense of like, she just yaps about random stuff, and people love her. She's hilarious. And so she's just yapping about random stuff. I'm like, come on, babe, do 3 more. She's like, no, I can't, like this and this. So like that like couple stuff like did really well. Those videos did well. And one of her friends was like, had like 20,000 followers on 30,000 followers on Instagram. She was an OnlyFans model. And so I was like, okay, like, and I had like maybe like 5,000 followers on Instagram. I was like, let's do a video collab together. So I take her through this workout, and I'm trying to like push her, and I'm using some of the techniques like Taiwan had taught me at the time, which is like, giving a manual resistance in the machine. So just like being more interactive, like as a trainer, being more hands-on, not just standing there being like 10, 9, whatever. So I'm like pushing her, and I'm like, my goal is like, I want your legs to hurt so bad, like you get out and you collapse, because I want that for my video. So I take her through this workout and post it, and the first video was like very informational. I'm talking about like, fixing some of her hip imbalances, all this stuff. Second video, I'm taking her just through leg extension. 5 more, come on, 5 fucking more. And I'm pushing her on the thing. She's like, I can't do any more. And I'm like, let's go. And I'm like, 23 million views, something like that.
Please, let's go.
Oh my God, I've never pushed myself like that before.
Fucking quitter, let's go. 8. Come on, Hannah, come on. Don't fucking quit, no. Listen.
I think I died and came back.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, use momentum everything one and put him down.
Oh, my God. I'm going to feel this tomorrow.
What's up, guys? My name's Joe the Trainer. I work at the Alpha Land Gym, and I train influencers.
Oh my God, you're
Drive.
my legs were like, this is unreal.
She didn't expect
Silence.
that.
Just radio silence.
It's a good pump.
Hell yeah.
General public rep. Go, in and out, in and out. You got here because you're fucking relentless. If you're ready to take your glute gains to the next level, DM me the peach emoji and we'll get you set up for a training consultation. Ready? 3, push, 2, 17.
No, that's crazy.
Pause at the bottom, hold that stretch, and then squeeze. 6, legs. Come on. I don't care how fucking tired you are. 15, good. Okay.
Oh my God.
And I was like, okay, so this is what they want. They just want me to like kill people on these workouts. And so I just started taking all these people through these workouts, and I'm watching a lot of videos, and I'm learning how to like train people, I'm learning how to be interactive. And when every other trainer is just like very much selling the same things, I'm taking my background in strength and conditioning, like metabolic conditioning, I'm taking my experience with bodybuilding, like, okay, hey, like you could, like, because bodybuilding at some point, depending on the coach you work with, but like I had coaches that gave me junk volume, like 5x30s and stuff like that on leg extensions and bicep curls and a bunch of these, you know, random variations and stuff like that. And so yeah, I'm taking them through these workouts, and these videos are just like popping off. I train a guy, no views. I train a girl, I start taking them through hip thrusts and leg extensions, because the girls were the ones that were posting the workout videos. And all these people online are like, these girls, like, they are, you know, they got 10s on each side, they're squatting, they're saying that's how they grow their glutes. So these girls are coming up and they're like, I can only squat 10 pounds. I'm like, nah, you got 25. I'm like, come on, be for real. You can do more than 10 pounds on each side. So I'm throwing 20. So they're like, wow, that was a lot harder. I'm like, yeah, this is what a real workout looks like. So I'm doing all this, and this is just, it's blowing up. Like, each video is like 1 million views, 1.5 million views. And it was just like, and now I'm coming up with all these crazy exercises. Now I'm like, how can I get more views? How can I do all this stuff? And I'm posting 5 TikToks a day. So I'm paying a videographer, and I'm making really good money at Alphaland, paying a videographer. I'm like, follow me around with a camera, throw mics on, and have these girls come in. And now it's like, it's kind of getting attention, but now I'm like DMing these influencers. I'm like, hey, I've got 100,000 followers on TikTok. I want to, you know, my videos are like, if I do like a 8 video segment with you, you can pretty much guarantee at least 5 million views. I want to get you exposure. I don't have any sponsorships. You can shout out your brands. I think I was sponsored by Anaka at the time. I'm like, you can shout out your brands, your supplements, whatever you want. I'm going to give you the platform to promote your stuff, and I'm just going to take you through a really good workout. And they were like, all right. And so they would come in, and I started getting bigger people and like more popular people, and kind of started building along there. And then again, like I trained guys. I trained an IFBB pro, and it was like, it got like some views, but like not nearly as much. But also like I was starting to get comments where it was like, this guy's bigger than you, he should be training you. And that's this whole, then I'm trying to argue with people. I'm like, okay, yeah, if we did that, then it's like, okay, Ronaldo's one of the best soccer players in the world. Why does he need a coach? Like, we're trying to, Sebum's the biggest guy on the planet, but like, why does he need a coach, right? And so I'm trying to argue with these, like, you know, numbskulls, and obviously they don't, you know, they're meatheads. They don't really care. Oh, this guy's bigger, he needs to be da-da-da. So the people that I'm actually training are getting a lot of value from what I'm saying. Like, I'm taking these bodybuilders that do the same leg press, leg extension. I'm like one of the guys that I trained, he reached out to me multiple times. He was like, let's get another workout in, because he's like, my joints actually feel better. I'm like starting to take that background of like, not just like, yeah, 10 reps, yeah, that looked good. I'm like, no, like your knee's caving in, your foot's caving in, the pressure on da-da-da-da. And now I'm starting to get more in tune with like the kinesiology, and I love kinesiology in college, so I'm starting to get more in tune with that. And then when I went down to Iron University in Miami in end of 2022, and Aldo is the one who trains Laura Chapados. I don't know if you know who that is. She's a Miss Olympia bikini. Okay. And he's the glute guy in Miami, basically. Like okay,
I know that guy.
Yeah, you know Aldo, right? Yeah. And his methods are very unconventional. Lots of bands, lots of stuff, and from an outside perspective, you're like, this is BS. Just have someone hip thrust. Just have someone da-da-da. So one of the other trainers at Alphaland had gone down there and trained with him. I think he had come to Alphaland at one point. I saw some of his content. One of the other trainers went out there and trained with him, and they were raving about it. And I was like, you know what, I want to go out there. So I booked this trip out there, went with Taiwan and one of the other trainers, and I would get his workouts. And that's when I like... I'm doing, you know, and I'm telling him about some of this stuff. I'm like, yeah, I think I'm going to bodybuild again. And I'm like, I think I'm going to bodybuild again. I'm like, I'm taking this. And at this time, my coach had just started putting me on Tren. And I took Tren for like 2 weeks. And I was so anxious. I was a shit show. And I was like freaking out. And I'm like, no, I can't take this anymore.
Is Tren like with all the, because I hear that word all the time. So is this what all the cool kids take now?
Tren is like that. It makes you like dry, hard, and lean. It makes your muscle very dense.
So my question is, how can people take this stuff and think they're in shape when they know they're not? They're cheating.
Because what you don't... so a couple different perspectives here. even because there was a time where like, yeah, I'm taking the testosterone, but like after I had that initial growth, I wasn't growing anymore. It wasn't getting any bigger because my training quality was, it wasn't like I was sloppy ass reps and stuff like that. And so like, even though you're taking steroids, and this is why some guys make really good improvements, someone like Sebum, like over time, once you're taking it, you start learning like the poisons in the dose. So like the least, if you can get the most out of the least, if you can take just like a couple drops here and you can grow a lot, that's what you want.
I know, but with your platform now, you're 25 at your age, and these kids that are, you're back in your New Mexico age, right? Mm-hmm. Are you telling them to take steroids?
Heck no.
And when you see these kids doing it in the videos,
so the thing was I
see so much of it now.
Right. So I had already been training for about 5 years. So, and in my head, I was trying to convince myself like, oh, I've reached my natural potential. No, I hadn't. But I was deadlifting over 405. I was like deadlifting 405. I was like 150 pounds. So I was like really strong. And again, I'm eating like a mother effer and I cannot gain any weight. But I had already been training. The problem is kids come in, and my background was I had already done the strength stuff. I had good mobility. Like I had already done like the bench press phase. I had already done my powerlifting phase. I had a really well-rounded understanding of everything but bodybuilding really. And so these kids now, when they just take these steroids now, they're brand new to the gym and they are going just from like the aesthetic aspect. To me, and I still train very traditional, and a lot of people don't agree with this, but I still train traditional in the sense of like when my clients come in, I'm like, you're not getting under a barbell until you can goblet squat. And if you can't goblet squat, then you're not gonna be able to back squat. And you can't do this. Like I have like phases with it. So like if a client comes in, they're like, I want to bench press. I'm like, let me see how your push-ups look first. Okay, let's fix the shoulder blades. Let's fix the lats. Let's fix da. And I do that. And so like, versus like other trainers, like, oh, you want to bench press? Okay, cool. And they're sitting there and their clients have crappy ass form. And I'm like, because I'm very much foundational. So like even with that high school bodybuilding group that I did, these kids like, yeah, we want to get bigger. And I'm like, that's cool, but you still need your metabolic conditioning. We're still doing the sleds. We're still doing carries. We're still doing, heavy squats. We're still doing all like mobility work. Still doing all those things. Build your foundation. Then when you want to switch to more aesthetic training, you can. And like that's still just like my method. Now I have clients that come in and they just want the aesthetic aspect of things. And I'm like, cool, then from the get-go, your training quality needs to be extremely high. But I think what a lot of people don't realize is that even if you start taking stuff like, and again, it's because it's normalized, it's easy to get, right? From like an HRT perspective, like, and someone's got one, and for a while, like this was in 2020, SARMs were really popular. You could go to a GNC and you could buy SARMs.
I heard about all that.
And SARMs were basically just like pill versions of like test boosters, but they had such horrible side effects. And then like you could order them online, or someone's buddy had some or whatever, and like they would tank people's like I've gotten clients who, and I'm like, okay, like, tell me a little bit about your background. Like, yeah, I took SARMs for a couple years, and like insulin issues, their blood work's absolutely ass, because they take it and then they're like, oh, I'm not working out anymore, and they stop taking it and it dumps it.
Moral of the story is, don't take fucking steroids.
Yeah. And
you're posting that shit, all these fucking teenagers, you come take your ass to Khango, we'll fuck you up in the proper way.
So what I will say is I came off testosterone at one point. Because I actually hit adrenal fatigue. Like I wasn't controlling my stress. I'm taking a combination of things that my coach had put me on. I'm trying to work, I'm trying to do all this stuff. I'm not sleeping. I'm drinking a shit ton of caffeine. Like I'm not understanding like the internal aspect. Not taking my vitamins, supplements, anything like that. Hit adrenal fatigue. I got like vertigo for 2 weeks. I like just randomly. In terms of adrenal fatigue, I couldn't stay awake. I'm falling asleep throughout the day. I'm like in pain. My joints hurt, like all sorts of different stuff. I had to take like 3 weeks off work. That pissed me off. And so I came off testosterone, and I think I dropped about 20 pounds. I lost a bunch of size. And
it's not worth it, man.
You get extremely depressed. That's the problem. So you get extremely depressed. And what I didn't realize, my thought was like, oh, I'll take a little bit and then I'll come off. Once you're on, you pretty much got to stay on. And so like now I'm basically on like, again, I could come off, but the amount of work it would take to like get habits, everything like food, sleep, all that stuff.
Yeah. You know what we call that?
What?
A reverse dub.
A reverse dub.
We don't want those problems.
We don't want those problems.
Well, My advice is don't take the steroids.
Yeah, definitely
But
don't.
I'm glad he has a platform to talk about it and discuss it. You recently just had some changes. I think let's talk about some recent changes going on because you've been a successful trainer at Alphaland. Just something small, people can start and find you now and what that transition was like. And then we're going to do instead of the shot, we're going to do a closing survey. Who's got better branding, Ghost or Khango? He's paid by Ghost. He's not affiliated with Khango at all, so don't sue him. Oh, we're coming.
So I've been at Alphaland for 3 years now.
Yeah.
And recently just left 2 weeks ago. And I think there's a couple catalysts for it, right? I was extremely successful at Alphaland. Mm-hmm. I learned so much. I appreciate all the opportunities I've ever gotten there. When I started coming and seeing you for my hamstring rehab, when I tore both my hamstrings, talking to Gersh, being around the environment, like talking to you, like being mentored by you in like our training sessions and stuff, I started kind of like, that's what made me start wanting more. Like that's what really encouraged me to do the prep. I was like, okay, like y'all are on a different level, like the discipline, the discipline, like the mindset, like you guys work crazy hard, but you're so efficient at it. And for so long I've been chasing like just work, being busy, but not being as efficient. And so like I saw like how much you guys were able to accomplish, how much you guys get done, just being so disciplined, everything like that. And I was like, I need that. That's why I did the bodybuilding show last year. Cause after the 2 bodybuilding shows I did where I just like on them the entire time, I was like, I want to do one more to close that chapter of my life, but do it properly. I want to do an actual show, do the full diet, do it 100%. And that was like the catalyst was like you guys. Like I would wake up in the morning, my alarm would go off.
That's the dub. That's the stuff right there.
I'd be exhausted. I'd go check my Instagram and I'd see you doing lunges and I'm like, what the fuck am I in bed for?
Yep.
And I'd get up and I'd just go hit my fasted cardio, my sauna, all that stuff, like for bodybuilding. Mm-hmm. And it was hard. And the bodybuilding side of it is very much like control your stress. And so like you guys are like, fuck that. I don't care if I'm tired. I don't care if I'm sore. I'm doing it anyway. So like I want to do that so bad, but with the bodybuilding thing, my coach was like, dude, you're getting inflated. And we're talking about such small changes that like a little bit too much food, a little bit too little sleep, and all of a sudden my body changes like a lot, especially with the steroids, right? So that was kind of hard. But anyway, being around you guys, I was just like, man, like that environment I just loved. And as I started coming to the gym and started doing the group classes, coming with Alyssa, I was like, I'm so happy to be here. Like I enjoyed it. It felt like a family. Like I think you guys, I remember, like I came in there for my birthday and I was like, hey, like I want to come in for my birthday because I was, and like because of the prep, the dieting and just, all the things going on in life, trying to hide the engagement from Alyssa, all that stuff, like I didn't enjoy being at work, and it was just, there was like stress, or there was just like, but I'd go in there and I got a good work. I got to sweat. I didn't have to think any of that stuff. Right. And going through the whole prep, like there was a lot of changes that happened at Alphaland, on a business side of things, just completely changing like the business structure and whatnot. Okay. Like when I first started at Alphaland, I was a contractor, right? Like I think we paid $750 a month for rent. Yeah. We could have however many clients we wanted. Then they went the employee route because, as contractors, the business benefits us, but we don't benefit the business because we just pay rent. So if I'm making $30K a month, which at one point I was, make $30K a month,
they just get
$750 a rent, you know what I mean? So from a business standpoint, totally understand that. That makes sense. And it was good to start. The thing was, the first GM that they had that came in was hired and fired within a week. Like made way too many changes, way too quick, a bunch of problems, bunch of stuff that like happened that he did to me that we won't get into, but that's where we got like kind of our first taste, and we all kind of like all the trainers kind of like freaked out. Yeah. And Taiwan was kind of like, this is what happened. Like if you guys aren't on top of your shit, this is what's going to happen. Like you guys can someone's going to come in here and realize like there's a bunch of gaps in efficiency. Mm-hmm. Y'all need to be turning in your rent on time. Y'all need to be logging your stuff on time. We were like, okay. Kind of like scared us. Well, with that, like with some of the changes like that he had made that were aggressive, some of them actually were of benefit, right? Basically, like one of the ones he made was like the sales reps used to have their own office, but then he started putting the sales reps up at the front desk and they started selling more memberships. And it's like, oh, that makes sense. So some of the changes were positive. But anyway, they were going the route of that because when Christian announced his 10-year goal, one of them was to franchise and open another 5 other Alpha Elite gym locations. And so to be able to do that, you have to make Alpha Land the home base. You have to be able to make a system and a process that works so that way you can go to Alpha Elite Gym LA and you can open that and like you already have the systems in place. And so they had to go that route, which made sense. Over the course of like 2024, there's a little bit more restrictions, and I kind of shot myself in the foot because when they went the employee route, they were like not sure what to do with me because I made like too much money to where they couldn't pay me that as like a salary as an employee, and it didn't make sense, right? Because it's like, how are we gonna, if we pay Joe a guaranteed salary, but my clients, like I could be making 20K one month and then 12K another month, like it's too up and down, so they were like, okay, and we had been talking about this online training aspect for years now, and it has amazing potential. You're talking about a gym that has a huge social media following. You're talking about everything just being like, being able to offer what Christian has done an incredible job about building the Alpha Elite, Alpha Land brand. People are extremely loyal. People fly from Germany to come work out at the gym. Like that tells you something. And so he's done a really great job of building that brand. And so we were like, if we could expand that brand to where like you could get high quality training anywhere in the world, and seeing all the problems that you see with online fitness coaches, I got 5 more spots open, DM me the word donuts and I'll send you that, whatever, like just trying to sell and make money and not actually give value. And I was like, we could change that industry. Took us so long to get that approved. They finally got it approved. And so they offered me the position, and the position that they offered me, again, was like, I couldn't go all in on that salaried position because it did not pay me enough. Because it's like, okay, I'm making $15K a month as a personal trainer.
I get it.
And then, this is only a salary here. So to compromise, it was like, you can still do the personal training. You can do it like about 20 hours a week of personal training, and then the other 40 hours need to be, being a manager, building this online platform. And I was like, okay, so after going back and forth for, like 2 months, trying to get the paperwork right, everything, finally got it. Well, they had already transitioned a lot of the other trainers into employees. And at that time, no matter where you're a trainer at, if you're not doing the work, you're not going to get business. So a lot of the other trainers weren't doing the work. And they weren't getting business, so it made sense for the gym to be like, well, we have a bunch of people coming into the gym. I'm sure we can sell you. Like, we can sell clients for you. But if you're a contractor, it doesn't make sense to give you clients because we're giving you money and not us money. So from an employee standpoint, that makes sense. And so some of the other, all the other trainers had already transitioned, so I felt left out. I'm the only contractor left. So I felt left out, and I started separating myself from the pack because all the other trainers are employees. They're all on photo shoots. They're all doing this stuff. And it's like, well, Joe's a contractor. He doesn't technically work for the gym from like as an employee. So I had kind of like pushed myself away. And so I felt left out of the team. So I started I was like, I want to be a part of this team. I see this team and I can't be a part of this team. And I was like getting really, really upset. And so they offered me the position, and I was like, okay, I want to take it. It was about $100,000 pay cut from what I was making the year prior. And I was like, Taiwan was like, you can, he was like, you can, like if you hit these KPIs and you do what you are expecting to do with the online training, like you'll make up that loss. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. Like it's a great opportunity. And I took that, and that's, I think, when I realized that just the corporate structure is just not a good fit for me. Personal training is, I love being able to train my clients how I train them. I love being able to have a client, if they show up 5 minutes late, I'll take their session 5 minutes over. Like I love being able to give, because I'm more focused on the value, right? And because I love the kinesiology, the biomechanics, like if I'm taking a client through a session and you're not understanding squats, I want to break it down for you. I want you to understand. I want you to leave that session being like, I now know something more, not just being like, how does that feel? Oh, it feels a little good. It's just my knees. Oh, they're probably just sore. I like being like, let's figure that problem. So I like problem solving. And in a corporate structure, I need a session to start at 11 and at 11:55. I need my 12 to start on time, because when you're stacking clients like that, and I'm not now it's affecting the brand, it's affecting the business, all that stuff. So And then getting restricted on hours, again, I can only train about like 20 clients. So the entire year, I'm like split between, do I focus on building more in-person clients, or do I focus on building more online clients, or like how to do that? And a lot of the problems that I was experiencing was I didn't know how to be a good leader. I didn't know how to lead a team, right? From like that standpoint, like I felt like I did, but me being a leader was like, I ask you to make an online program, you send it back to me, I think that it sucks, and I'm like, all right, I'll just make it myself. So I'm just signing myself up for all this work. I get behind on everything. It gets overwhelming. We don't hit the metrics that we need to. So I would say that, like, honestly, a lot of the fault was on me for not being able to adapt to that. Not being able to adapt to, like, being a better leader. Being able to do that stuff. This is Alpha Land. And then, you know, but then, like, as things kind of went on, that's when I kind of just started realizing, like, I think that I just realized, I was like, man, I really just love training people, because they kind of started telling me, like, Joe, like, if you want to keep this position, like, you need to really be able to focus on it. Yeah. And we think that you're getting distracted just training in-person clients. And I'm like, I don't want to leave my in-person clients. So I was like, I don't think I continue doing this. So the way that the business had changed, there's a lot of change. It's a lot different than how it was when I had first started. And again, they're doing what makes sense for the business. And I totally understand that, but it just no longer served me.
Yeah, we've talked about it before. We've all been there before, but I think I always tell you, it's always excited when a chapter like that closes, because I know how much you looked up to them and the opportunity, but you always got to remember that that's a season and reason in your life.
Yeah.
You can be thankful for it, but it's not going to stop your growth to greatness. And if that comes to being overpassing them or making people upset because you're doing what's best for you, that's the definition of doing what's best for you. And you know your intentions behind it are well. And everything's about runs. You had a great run, certified glute builder.
Glute builder.
TikTok popped off. Your couple swole mates. That thing did great. So now you got to go recreate it.
And that's, you know, I think that's the big thing too. Is, you know, at Alpha Land, when I had first started there, 2022, 2023 was so focused on being an influencer.
Yeah.
And less focused on being like a coach. And I wanted to get back to my roots, and I wanted to be able to like be like, you know, like the best possible trainer that there is. I want people to come to a session, like I want to be able to charge what I charge, and people have a very good understanding of like the value that's given there. And to be honest, one of the like final like nails in the coffin when I was at Alpha Land is, you know, I'm in a meeting and hopped on my story, and you know, y'all are training Andre Johnson at Khango the other day, and I was like, I could be there learning and expanding what I'm doing. And like, I'm thinking back to all the things I did, like that whole background I gave you, thinking back all those free hours, just being there. And like all the times I've come and helped out at classes, like I learned so much. I'm like, just when I show up to one of the classes and I see the programming, I'm like trying to understand your methodology. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, like this is
it's a lot.
It's a lot. And I love it, but I want to be able to learn it, because like it's so unique. Like literally what you guys have is unlike anything I've ever seen.
Appreciate it, man.
And I'm like, I want to be able, like, how can we take that? Because that's, you know, like as I've gotten older, I've started to realize that like fitness is not just bodybuilding. It's not just powerlifting. It's not just straight. It should be everything. It should be like a little bit of everything. And you should be able to like work out in different ways, and I'm starting to experience that. I'm doing the boxing now with Sobo, which I love, and I'm having to learn how to do that again, be an athlete again. I feel all stiff. You know, he's always like, Joe, like, elbows in, and I'm like, I'm too tight, I can't do it.
See, and I always talk about like, how do people gain my respect or gain? Because I don't even know you. I didn't know you. I had no ties, and then when I always heard about Alpha Land, I'll be honest, I was very judgmental. These fucking bodybuilders, and I look better than more than half of them, and I don't train like this, and I don't got tens and thousands of followers. But you know, when we kind of started talking, I just respected this story, because I was like, okay, I hear what he's going through, and it wasn't because of Instagram, but when I saw you making the consistency of actually waking up and kind of doing the 4 a.m. thing and putting the cardio in. So, okay, he did it once. Let's see if he does it again.
Yeah.
And then did it again. So I think over a year span, you did that, and you gained my respect, and coming from somewhere that I really don't have ties to or know you, but because of your work ethic and your willingness just to come in and have fun. And then obviously Alyssa and you guys actually love the environment.
Yeah.
I remember you said, this is what I'm missing. I used to have this. So and work hard, man. You do a great job. The next journey will be great. They can find you. Now he's at Khango.
I'm at Khango now.
So your little glute builder girls. Do you have a name for them?
I'm thinking about calling the class I'm going to run on Tuesdays, Thursdays is going to be Hybrid Hourglass.
Okay, he's working on the ideology, Hybrid Hourglass. So you can find him at Khango now doing his thing. Also shout out to Sobo for his boxing, and then shout out to Christian for his kids stuff.
Dude, how he trains his soccer players too. Like I was seeing that and I was like, man, like if I was still training soccer players, I was like, that's how I would want to train. Like he's so good. And if you look at him, you're not like, oh, like this is obviously like Ronaldo or anything like that. Like he looks very much like, I think, and talking to him too, we have a very similar story of how we kind of got into it. And I'm like, man, like I love it. Like I said, the environment that you guys have there is amazing, and it's really cool to hear like what you said, because the reason I started waking up early was because I was like, if Dose can do it, like I wanted to earn your respect. Yeah. And I was like, the only way I know that I can do that is by doing, putting my money where my mouth is, right?
And I always talk about too, it takes a lot for me to even bring anybody in, especially with my story and my past. But the people I just listed, Sobo, Christian, and you, we hopefully trying to bring a community that, if you can't come to Khango and be with us, or you have your ties with other people, because our gym isn't designed that way. Our gym isn't designed to have independent trainers and pay X amount of rent, and that's how we're going to get through. But we do this to offer different methods, and it comes with trust. So he's there now, and then a Vice Gym just opened up. Yeah. It's more of like a bodybuilding style, style gym. So you can find him at Vice Gym and at Khango. So the real part of this end of the Daily Dose, we're gonna do a little survey. So Aaron, however you do this, matter of fact, he can probably help you even better. He just probably won't be able to post it. Put that ghost next to the Khango here. Okay, we got the Ghost Energy in the can, and then we got the Khango Supps. Give it a little turnaround. Again, we're just going to turn it around for the viewers to check out. And we already know that the Khango stuff is better, tastes better, and performs better. But
the real question
let's go ahead and find out which one looks better, because people are going to see this, and there's going to be girls looking at this and be like, which one do I like?
The real question is, where do you foresee the Supps going? Like I know you, like, especially with the way that you've explained kind of how you do the formula and stuff like that.
Shout out to Bacha. Bacha's the guru on that one.
I know he is. Where do you foresee it going? Are you trying to kind of be more like a?
It's up in the air, because we mentioned before. Somebody they just sold their company. No, Ghost. They just
sold to Dr. Pepper Keurig, I think.
And that was what, 1.2 billion? What was it? 800 million?
I don't know. I think it was 1.8.
So just like what you just said, if Dose can do it, I can do it.
Yeah.
When you told me that, and I know how great this is, and I know the passion behind this, and I saw that number, I said, if they can do it, we fucking can do it.
You see Sour Strips just sold to Hershey's.
And I saw that too. Yep. And then just the fact that he's a local Houston dude, he did that shit. So that's where I see it. I said when I said 2000, my birthday, I said it's all about push. And we had this in the works, and we had some other things in the works that we can't discuss about. But to answer your question, I see it beyond that number if it gets to that point, if we want to sell it. But that's where I want it. I want to change our families' lives.
Oh, yeah.
And I believe in it, and it's a unit. It's my family, and without them, none of this happens. I think I said that last time. I might have left some names out, but I'm gonna go names. Bacha, Halima, Cole. I think I left you out last time. Gersh, I always forget. Staj and Jen always. But yeah, none of this has happened without you guys. And now that Christian's involved, Sobo's involved, so. Survey it. Joe Bro's in the building. I said we were going to do a shot, but we're going to do a shot to close it out with.
Oh yeah.
Taking dubs.
That was a good pod.
That was what?
That was a good pod.
Thanks, man. It's
You know what you're missing in this room?
What's up?
Some Legos. I got you.
No, bro, you got the Legos.
No. You gotta have one.
You need to talk to Bacha. Bacha was the biggest Lego guy ever.
He was telling me he still got one in his closet. I'm like, what are you doing? Build it, man.
Lego guy ever.
What I'll have to do if I get you one, I'll have to have it already pre-built, because I know you won't build it.
Yeah, I'll direct it to Priscilla. So Daily Dose, White Man Freddy, Joe Bro, transitioning from soccer to agility to high school, college, bodybuilding, new life, Khango, Vice Gym. Thank you for coming on.
Cheers.
Khango versus the world, Khango Supps. I'm not a TikTok, I'm not an influencer, but like, subscribe. If you're not down with that, only because I got the microphone here. for all the millions. That's when you cue in the millions.
Came out to surprise the millions of the Rocks fans.
Our viewers out there, we got 2 words for you. Suck it!